Thank you, Tim, and I appreciate the audience today on Share Cafe to present Careteq. Next slide, please. And again. So Careteq is effectively a ASX listed assisted living technology company where we have two vertical streams predominantly focusing on the elderly through various verticals, being acute care, aged care, community care, which is home care, and disability markets. Current market cap is around 7 million, as Tim said, and we listed on the ASX January of last year, and the last 12 to 18 months have been all about building the foundation and using the capital to grow for the next phase of growth in the company, which we think we're well positioned. Next slide, please. So as I said, our business model, we have two verticals. One is the assisted living technology, which post the Royal Commission into aged care is really a fantastic field for us to operate within. We have proprietary software that utilises hardware devices to deliver solutions to the marketplace, of which in future slides, coming up slides, I'll elaborate a bit further. But it's a very strong thematic in the industry. And then to the right of the slide, the medication management side of our business. Effectively, we work with aged care facilities. We operate through what's called medication reviews. We work in collaboration with the government and access currently about 33,000 beds, which on the next slide we'll talk about the growth of that. And then we also have a distribution arrangement with a company called Strong Care, or a product called Strong Care through Strong Room AI. And that's the introduction of electronic medication management solutions to the sector. Next slide, please. So just announced recently, we entered into a JV for our medication management side of our business. So we merged our ward medication management with one of our competitors, MediRev. And so that now enables us to access 55,000 aged care beds and really get some real synergistic value, not only for us as an organisation, for the sector, become a real lead on thought-provoking and industry change, and provide a number of efficiencies internally. We believe the two coming into one, there's an ability to increase the EBITDA to 1.5 to 2 million. Ward in its own right was circa 400 million prior to the transaction. And through the benefits of how each other businesses operate, both technically and skill-wise, we think there's $500,000 to $1 million of additional revenue that can be generated just utilising the existing database. And then obviously from a strategic point of view, there's the cross-selling opportunities of our technology platform, which I'll go into more detail in future slides, where we can upsell and cross-sell across to the JV entity. Next slide, please. So just to elaborate a little bit further, so Strong Care, we entered into an agreement, it was about August, September last year from memory, and a fantastic opportunity in the marketplace. There is a government regulation in place where every aged care facility in 2024 must have a electronic medication management and moving away from paper-based. Strong Care is one of a number of providers that can provide that solution. So we've partnered with them on a 5-year agreement. And our pipeline is growing as every week and every month goes past. There's government funding. Stage 1 has passed. Stage 2 will commence in July, where every aged care facility can have access to government funding to cover the costs of the installation and deployment of Strong Care. So we work closely with our customers and prospective customers to introduce Strong Care as a viable solution, and then to deliver and implement that solution. The combined businesses under the JV, I've spoken about that, but we're pretty excited about this combination of Ward MediRev coming under the banner of Embedded Health Solutions, and using that as a very strong platform to grow the Strong Care business. Next slide, please. So the assisted living side of our business, we have a proprietary platform called Sophie Hub, which is that bigger circle in the middle of that imagery. And then there's a number of hardware devices that we use to collect data that integrate into our proprietary platform, and you'll see some of those images at the bottom there. The key areas we cover are personal security, falls detection, vital signs monitoring, and medication management. The platform itself is AI enabled. It's highly scalable, and it integrates through open API capability into wherever our clients need us to integrate with. As an example, in an aged care facility, majority of them would like, if they used our technology, let's say for falls alert, they would like that integrated into a nurse call system. And so we work with a number of nurse call system operators, generally driven by the aged care facilities and their usage of that product. And we integrate, and so all of our alerts would go through their existing nurse call systems and then operate it accordingly. So this is a fast growing part of the market. We currently have some 4,200 users on our platform across the various verticals within it. But we have a very deep pipeline, which we'll talk about in future slides, but a very deep pipeline of opportunities that we're quite excited about. Next slide, please. And so as you can see on this slide, we're based in the US and in Australia. From a sales pipeline point of view, there's some really exciting trials underway in the States. As you can see from the geography, that even though we're domiciled here, everything is bigger than Ben-Hur in the States. And so you don't need that many opportunities to even the scales on the opportunities that we have in Australia. So we believe we're well positioned from the diversity of our opportunities in the pipeline. We're not relying on one piece of success for our destiny to be fulfilled. But we've got a whole range of opportunities across acute care, aged care, home care, and NDIS here in Australia. And so it's pretty exciting. We have an internal target, a short-term target, to get to 15,000 users. We're currently sitting at 4.2, and so we have some really good visibility on getting to that 15,000 in due course. Next slide, please. So as I said, we feel like we're getting to that inflection point. The pipeline is super strong. We're very excited about some of the trials that are running in the US, but equally there's a number of opportunities here in Australia. We're starting to get some traction through the database of the medication management side of our business to adopt assisted living technology. And so I think you'll see a very strong growth in revenues over the next 6 to 12 months as we fulfill a lot of those opportunities. The number of active partners that we have signed up with us, both in the US and here, is growing at a nice rate. And yes, we're sitting here quite excited and enthused what the next 6 to 12 months could deliver for us. As I mentioned, we're targeting our 15,000 users. If we can achieve our minimum ARPU, which is average revenue per user, of $10 a month, then that pretty much gets us to break even and operating cash flow positive. We've pivoted our business pretty much to a B2B model and limiting our B2C sales, mainly just to keep the cost of customer acquisition is quite large if you go B2C. And given the demographic and the narrative around, but globally on the providers increasing their levels of care with using technology, we feel we're better off partnering that way rather than trying to target a B2C market. Next slide, please. So this is just a stereotype, just to show a bit of a journey and how we go about securing a client. So we recently secured a reseller's contract with a leading US distributor who targets aged care and community care in the US. The interesting thing over there is the technology is quite unsophisticated. So our technology, both the SofaCut portal and devices such as falls detection and personal security, are well received. To the extent that we recently completed stage 1 of a successful trial with a very large customer of our reseller, and they've got a database of circa 40,000 residents spread across America, and that stage 1 trial went very well, and we're now moving on to the second stage of that trial, which is an expanded trial, simultaneously discussing what a contract might look like for a potential rollout over next sort of 6 to 12 months. So we're quite enthusiastic about that, but that's really a stereotype example of what a journey looks like to see a client. It's not that much different here in Australia, and sometimes you're careful you don't live in the land of trials, but it is essential that trials are undertaken as a pathway to success. Next page, please. And so this is the sort of the holistic view of our market. As you can see on the numbers on the page, the opportunity is large, both here and globally. And so we are just very laser focused on getting our market share, doing it strategically, mainly through B2B, as I mentioned earlier, and focusing on those 4 key areas of elderly care, which is home care in our world, aged care, disability care, and accident and rehab. Next slide, please. In addition to those key areas that we've spoken about, these 3 growth opportunities are sort of sitting in the background, but have been brought to us and things that we're working on. So the domestic violence market is something we're quite passionate about. We have an association with the Cedar Foundation in the US. We are scheduled to commence trials on an innovative wearable device that we created with them. That device has our software platform, Sophie Hub platform, embedded into it. We're not the manufacturers of the hardware. Where possible, we try very hard not to be manufacturers of hardware. We want to be predominantly a software company. But our software is embedded in this solution, and so we look forward to commencing those trials this year some stage, and making a difference to the domestic violence market in the States, which is quite scary when you look at the statistics associated with it. A new and emerging market for us, more so than the industry itself, is the lone worker market. And so we've been approached by a number of companies, predominantly in the healthcare sector, but even a little bit beyond the healthcare sector, looking for solutions for personal security and monitoring for people that work in the lone worker market. For those that are not familiar with that term, effectively it's any person that travels for work and are on their own. So if you think of a home care provider, they will travel from home to home providing care services. That would be considered a lone worker because they're on their own. And so it's quite a large market that really has come to us more than us chasing them. And we're seeing some really nice early stage growth emerging from that, both here in Australia and in the US. And last is the hospital and the home solution. This is still it's still embryonic in nature. It's still finding its way, but there is a major appetite in the marketplace looking for solutions to keep people out of hospitals. And so providing hospital and the home solutions such as monitoring, vital signs monitoring and so forth, then that's an exciting opportunity that is slowly evolving for us. So a lot of our portfolio dovetails into this solution. And so we eagerly talking to various clients to see how we can fit into the ecosystem and provide the service and grow our market share within it. Next slide, please. So just from an outlook point of view, we're quite excited by the platform that we've set. We have a fantastic set of products and partners, OEM partners on those products. We have our own proprietary platform. We have our medication management initiative. And so, as I said earlier, we're quite excited that we're not a one-trick pony. We're not reliant on one outcome, one customer, and so forth. The diversity of our potential revenues, current revenues, and product offering, I think, sets us in a fantastic position to launch from here. Next slide, please. It's just a quick snapshot of the board. Won't talk about each individual, but I think the key thing here that I always make a point of difference in our company is we are predominantly healthcare generated board that have had previous success in selling into the sector. And so we come from a very sales orientated lens as compared to a purely technical lens that sometimes companies of that lens struggle with the commercial side of these businesses. We come from the other side. We surround ourselves with the tech excellence to educate us on what's best practice for tech. But predominantly this board is driven by achieving shareholder returns and revenue growth. And I think that's the last slide.
Thanks, Mark. We've got time for some questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
First one, can you please give us an update on the current state of the market in terms of the pace of converting assisted living leads into new contracts?
Sure, it's getting better, I'm pleased to report. So coming out of COVID, we all came out thinking decisions will be quick because they use the technology, they wanted technology quick and all that sort of stuff. What really happened was due to labour shortages and compliance requirements, a lot of aged care facilities struggled on bandwidth. The good news was that they always took meetings. The bad news was that the next meeting was always sort of 3 to 4 weeks later, not 1 to 2 weeks later that we were used to. That is now improving. And so getting decisions made, getting trials underway, demonstrations and so forth, the timelines have really contracted. And so the journey from the initial inquiry to converting a customer, it was sitting a sort of that 6 to 9 month period, going back 6 to 9 months ago. It's now sort of ranged into that sort of 3 to 6 month period now. So we're not waiting for the ridiculous amounts of time to convert a customer like we were for say 12 months ago.
And post-COVID, of course, kind of aged care has been really in the press. You've seen some closures in terms of aged care facilities closing, increased regulatory pressure. It reminds me a little bit of financial advice in a way, and then you've got some cost inflation. How prevalent is this, and what does it actually mean for your business?
It actually creates opportunities. So there's been some closures, but there's been a lot of contraction. So you've had groups that are seeing the opportunity and are picking up a number of sites that are either closed or the operators no longer want to operate in the marketplace. And then what you're seeing is with the pressures that are coming from government on compliance, on regulatory and so forth, plus profit pressures, plus staff lack of staff pressures. They are really looking for areas of productivity and efficiencies that help drive their businesses. Technology fits the bill perfectly for that. And so to give you an example, an aged care facility that adopts a falls detection solution through their group, there's massive, not only are they delivering a better solution and level of care for their patients or residents, but the productivity for their staff is enormous because they don't need to go walking around just looking at room to room to see if everybody's okay, not okay, and so forth. Through the monitor we provide in the rooms, they know, and if something's not quite right, they'll get an alert on their dashboards, they'll get an alert through their phone on the nurse call systems and so forth. And so that delivers productivity benefits. So if they're not busy walking around rooms, they can actually do other activities that reduce the need of extra employees in the facility. So we're seeing a number of those type of initiatives, and part of our mantra is, we see the problem, we want to try and be the solution to that problem, and so a lot of our technology is driven that way.
And there's a question mark back here around your US trial in North America. Would it on its own put you in a cash flow positive, given I think you were talking, was it 40,000 subscribers at $10 each? Is that the potential of that deal?
100%. The only thing to condition that is it would not be 40,000 or 20,000 on day one. It would be a rollout program. But yes, in essence, if we were to nail that example, we would be at the conclusion of the rollout, we would be cash flow positive and profitable on the back of something like that.
And you've just announced a JV with MedDerev. That obviously gives you significant scale in the medical management space. Are there any other opportunities for incremental corporate transactions in either assisted living or medication management to kind of expand your portfolio?
Yes, there actually are. It's a great question. In this climate, especially with equity markets tight and the private markets even tighter than the listed market, there are a lot of really nice technologies out there that are struggling to get cash to take their next step of development, evolution to commercialization and so forth. So we get approaches almost weekly looking at opportunities and so forth. My background is very heavily M&A orientated, so I can't help myself. I look at all of them. And so we'll be very strategic about it. We're certainly not in a hurry to make, acquisitions, left, right and centre. But while the opportunity is available to us to pick up really good assets at an attractive valuation, we'll explore those opportunities.
And you spoke about another opportunity with the CETA Foundation in regards to a domestic violence project. Obviously, you create a product for that. How's the timing and outlook and progression of that project?
Yeah, so that device has reached the prototype stage where we have a product that is ready for trial. So we're in discussions with CETA what that may look like, runway. Unfortunately, their holiday programs don't coincide with our holiday programs, so we always lose parts of the year because either our school holidays are in place or their school holidays are in place. It's highly probable that initial trials will run through universities in the States. We see some amazing stats on domestic violence over there, and it flows through to the university markets, which we didn't appreciate when we first started this. We thought it was more in the communities. And so there's still discussions going on what that looks like. From a timing point of view, I think it'll be the second half of this year rather than the first half. But we're pretty excited to get that underway, get all the data back, see what modifications need to be made to the technology and software, and then hopefully launch next year sometime.
Mark, thanks for your time. That's all we have time for. We'll follow again with interest and get you back on later in the year.
Thank you.